Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hi, welcome back to Dev. This is Mujtaba. So today again we will be continuing with our 30 days of Python development. This is day 2. So if you haven't seen day 1, the video should be uploaded. For today, we will just do a quick recap right now about what we did on day 1. Day 1 was about data types in Python, the basics of Python, installation, basic installation. It's really quick. You can follow the guide on the GitHub page. We also went about checking said data types. Excuse for the loud noise of the chickens. Anyway, today we'll be doing day 2 and continuing with the development in Python with the 30 days of Python. So day 2, so let's get into it. So here's a quick recap of yesterday's of day 1 Python of the 30-day challenge. So we went through the syntax of just trying to get something printed out of the mathematical examples of the addition, multiplication, subtraction, the remainder of the modular, and the division. We went through some data types, strings, how to print out strings, how to print out the data types of each data type. Went through a couple of data types of integers, floats, complex data types, tuples, sets, dictionary, etc. And then we had a couple of these challenges. We had the mathematical equations or Euclidean mathematical equation. And as you can see, formula. We set our p values, our q values, and we assigned p1, p2, q1, q2, each value, and basically just fold out the basic Euclidean geometry with q1 minus p1. So 0.1 minus 0.2 of point A and point B. In this case, P1 will be P2, Q1 will be 10. So did the mathematical equation and printed out the sum. We can run that last one again and we get 89. So today we are moving on to a new day, and I'm not going to save it. Open up a new file. I close this. Creating a new file for Python underscore day 2.py. So day 2 of the 30 days of Python, and we'll be looking at built-in functions, variables, the declaring of multiple variables in a line, data type, again data types, checking data types and casting them, numbers, and then complete the exercise level 1 and 2. So let's look at it. Built-in functions, it's quite a few. So it says that Python has a lot of built-in functions. Built-in functions are globally available for your use. That means you can make use of the built-in functions without importing or configuring anything. Some of the most commonly used Python built-in functions are of the following, which one we've already used, which is print, as seen before, and we've used type before. We've seen when we call the different types of functions, we've seen int, we've seen float, we've seen string, we've seen list. Dict is one of them. I believe set is not here, but it also should be as a function somewhere. No, it's not here. Okay, these are the basic functions, but basic built-in functions. So we have print, length, type, int, float, string, input, list, dict, min, max, sum, sorted, open, the file function, help, and the directory. In the following table, you can also see here, it's all of the list of functions, sorry. So there are multiple built-in functions. As you can see here, they list out the Python keywords in the terminal. As you see, they specify that help in brackets string, str, will give information about the string, and the dir, which means directory, will give information also about the string, so but in which directory of sorts. As you can see from the terminal above, Python has got reserved words. We do not use reserved words to declare variables or functions. We will cover, and they will cover this in a later date, later section. I believe so. Yeah, I forgot this guy. Asebe basically says that he believes that we are familiar with these functions already, which we are. So here, with the functions of min, max, you can obviously, if you know basic mathematics, obviously minimum, or within the brackets, what is the minimum of these sets of numbers. Obviously it's 20. It will output the lowest value. For max, the highest value. And if it's in a list format as well, it will return the lowest of the list within the list. And if the function sum is called, it will calculate everything within the list and return the sum value. Variables, as by the definition, it stores data in a computer memory. Mnemonic variables are recommended to use in many programming languages. A mnemonic variable is a variable name that can be easily remembered and associated. Essentially, if you name something that is a name and you name it name and assign a string variable name to it, you can then call a name such as first name, last name, age, country. Be very specific on the naming of your variables. An invalid variable name would be considered first name dash first dash name or first at name. Yeah, it's not viable to use them, as some of these functions like at and the $sign has some certain functionality in certain languages. Sabine, that is his name. So first underscore name is a valid variable for a string, and last underscore name as well. As you can see, this is basic. This is very basic variable naming schemes. And as you can see, skills assigned to it is a list, and the person underscore info assigned to that is a dictionary, if you remember from day one. Okay, so example below will be print hello world. That will be normal text. If you were to say print hello, comma within quotation marks a comma world, comma in quotation the exclamation mark. In the comment it says it can take multiple arguments. 4 arguments can be passed. So let's actually go to this and we can actually try that out. So There's comma, world. Do not put in the and you can run. There we go. It says hello world. Can you zoom in? And putting this up. There we go. It says hello world. Moving on. Printing the values stored in the variable. Let's practice this example. So obviously it says print in quotations first name and then first name variable. So that will rely on these variables here. So let's actually copy these. Control O and Control V. Okay, copied and pasted all of these names here. So the idea now is to call them. So we are calling the first name. So saying print quotations first dash name. Am I doing this correctly? Use a comma. So not an the semicolon is here. Okay. Okay. I get what they're doing. So semicolon, comma. There we go. And we call the variable, which is first name. This will, the first name will then be, it will be written out as first dash name and whatever the variable is there. So it will be asabene. That's how the output should look like. If you run it, there we go. Let me clear this further. Run it again. There we go. First name asabene. That's basically what is going to happen every time we do print out something else. So we can say print quotations last name. After that we call in last name, and then we're going to do the same thing for city. Let's do city. And then run it. There we go. Very straightforward. Variables allow you to hold memory, and you can call upon these variables in other functions like print, and it should output whatever this variable stores. If you're declaring multiple variables in one line, you can see you can call it as first name, last name, the country, the age, right, and a marriage status, but you can name each variable in one line and assign them with quotation marks or a value. It's very much the same way you have it as set up in the first line. So the first assigned value that you will be pointing to is going to be the first name. The next one will be the last name. The third will be the country, and so on and so forth. And then based on this, you can see you can basically call in, as you've seen before, that you can call in multiple variables at the same time in one print function. Same principle applies here. So let's actually do that and do something different. Let's do it as, let's do the x, y, a, b, c. X, y, y, a, b. To 4 is fine. And from that, x we're gonna say is a string, so we give it my name. After that, y can be my age, a can be another string, or yeah, let's put another string, country, and b probably give it another value of just say 36, and we can print x, y, a, b. Can leave a space open for that, and then just go ahead. There we go. It'll print it out in a straight line. So zoom in. It'll print it out in a straight line format. Right. So going back, we can see now. You can take in. So the next one is that you can get user input, which is a built-in function. So essentially, you can get a user when the program runs. You can ask what the person's name is and how old they are, and then print out in the console log those exact details. So let's actually go and do that. I'm going to say let's do the first name. And it's going to be input with the string. This is the prompt that asked, obviously, what is your name. Leave a space there, and then asking for the age. What is your age? And then print out each of these and we can run it. So first name, it's gonna bubble should pop up, and then another bubble should pop up, and then print out the values that I've assigned it. That's the first one in the console log. What is your name? We'll say the next one, age, and I'll print out essentially each of them. The blank space will be ignored. So as you can see, the blank space here on line 3 will be ignored, and the blank space on line 6 will also be ignored, since there's no active input on those lines, since it's blank, so it won't read anything. There we go. Moving on to data types. It says that there are several data types in Python. To identify them, you can also use the type built-in function. We've already done this multiple times. As you can see here, the data type of of Asabine's name, it will obviously come up as string. If you use a variable, if you call the variable in, it will also be a string. If you call a value in, it will give you back an integer data type. If you say 3.14, it will give you a float back. If you're then saying let me zoom in, it's larger. If you're then saying a complex type with 1 plus 1 plus 1j, that's a complex type of a data type, and so on and so forth. We've done this in the previous day. This is just a recap. So now, casting and converting one data type to another data type, like we said before, we can convert them between integers and floats and strings, lists and sets. So obviously, like I said before, if you have a string value that's in a string format, you can convert it to an integer value. So here's some working examples of this. This num int variable is assigned the value 10, which makes this an integer variable. And if the print function here will just output the num int and 10 afterwards. Num float, you can call in a float, converting this to a float, which should output 10.0. And if you were to convert a float back to an int, it will ignore all of the values after the decimal point. So let's see that in action. So if we were to clear all this. So in action, so let's say integer. So int underscore value. And give this 18. Print out what this integer value is. And then we're going to do a conversion for this. So we're going to say underscore integer, convert this to a float, and then print it out. As you can see, we have assigned it to a new variable. So the value that once it's converted to a float, the new variable will be float integer as specified. So if we run it, as you can see, integer value giving us 18. The float value is 18.0. But now converting the float to an integer. So we're going to do the exact same thing of float value 3.98, just some random numbers, and then we can convert that. We just give it a simple variable of x, and we say int, and then a float value, and then print x. So if we just comment these out and just run this, oops, called wrong. There we go. And run that. And we should get we should get the full value and ignore the value after the decimal point. So it will ignore the 0.98 and just print out 3. Okay, let's carry on, I guess. You can do string formulas. This is very much the same way of doing this. Into a string, as you assign the variable an integer, you can then obviously with a num string convert it to a string value, which will output with quotation marks. And if we were to do that to a float, the string value, and convert it to a float, since the string value is 10.6, and you print out the float, well, I see here they're specifying that float inside there, but let's see if we can, I'm pretty sure you don't need that. I'm pretty sure you can then call this value, since you've already converted it here. There's no need for this conversion here. This is unnecessary since you're already assigning a value. Let's do the string to into float. So let's go back here. Just comment that out. So we have a string of 10.6, and we're going to convert that to a float. So then float string value, and then we can print out we can actually just print out the float value. And if you're doing this as a integer, int string value, we can print out that. So there is a syntax error. As you see here, as you see it, it says 10.6 is printed out as a float, but it says there's a syntax error. The error is invalid literal for int with base 10.6. So if we go back here, oh, I see what I did. I converted the string value, not the float value. So as it ran in numbers, the variable num string is a string, and then it took the float it converted it to float value. So now it's 10.6. And then they took the int for the variable num int. They took the num float, which is this value here in here, to convert it to find the remainder, which is 10, which is a whole integer. Instead, I took the entire string, which is base 10, and that does not work in Python directly in this manner. So here, this will be looked at as float value. And now, if we run it, we clear this up. If we run it now, it should output float and 10 there. So that is something to take note of, is that the string value cannot be converted directly into an integer based to the fact that it cannot calculate base 10. There's no means of doing it in Python since you haven't specified it. A string to list is very interesting, since you can take the first name, as it literally says, to a list, and it should output AS as your entire name to a list. Let's do that. So take make the just name should be fine. What is the line of code? New variable, right? So just underscore name, and then we're just gonna say list, and then name goes in there, and then print list underscore name. There we go. Print it out as a list. Now numbers. Number data types in Python: integer, float points, complex numbers. I feel like this is pretty straightforward, in my opinion. Okay, exercise level 1. Let's get this set up. So we've already created our folder. That's done. Add comment, A2, that's fine, I'm not going to do that. Declare first name and assign a value to it. Last name, assign that value. Declare a full name variable and assign a value to it. I get what they're saying. Do that. First underscore name, string variable, my name, last name, and then full name. I will just say, I'll put it in capital letters. So Python, see, as you see it pulled it out in blue. That's actually an incorrect way of naming, of utilizing your variables. This is not recommended. So another way of doing this is to have a capital letter full, like that. As you can see with VS Code, you can actually see and it changes the color scheme. Yeah, so it's a very light blue, but if we did that again and said full name, it's very dark blue. In SQL, you will know that if you've done SQL before, if you read SQL code and you've used SQL code before, you know that some of the functions you need to be calling as in capital letters. So if you were to set something, or you were to call something within the data table, you specify the name of the data table in the full name, and say from. The function from will be in full capital letters, and then you'll list the data table, and you specify a column is a column 1 in full capital letters. So this is a no. So we'll say first capital letter F, and then we will use capital letter F and capital letter N to specify the full name. There. What else are you supposed to do? And for age, give us a value. The year is 25. Now the booleans. Say false. Is true. Actually, I'm going to do it this way. On false, and then variables in one line. I won't actually be printing out each of these in one line, so I won't be using each of these same variables in this line, but actually let's actually do it this way. Let's actually print them all. I'm not going to type them out again, just line by line. And you know what, we're actually going to change the values of each of these. So first name is going to say Luke, last name is Walker, full name country, I have no idea, just say America. City, father. That is random. Age, a random value here. Year is going to change, so we say 19, I believe 87. Married, we're going to say false. Let's actually change that to true. Say true, is true, false, slides on, say false. So if we run this, they should be running line by line, and then as you get through, take that away, as you get through to the very last one, at line 50, all of these values, the variables, the values of these variables should change, since we're now re-establishing these values, reinitializing these values. I know what I just did there. It's not even print all of these out. Forgot to print. Can print all of them out. It should go line by line and print all of these out individually in one line. There we go. That is it for exercise 1. Oh, oopsie. That should be the answer. Each of these are line by line, and then as you get to line 50, you end up with all of them in one line. Exercise 2. Now I'm going to check the data type of all the variables using type. Use the length function for the first name. Compare the length of your first name and your last name. Declare 5 as num1 and 4 as num2. Okay, so you're just establishing integers. Add num1 and num2 together. Assign the value to variable total. Okay, so that should be it. Okay. Subtract num2 from num1 and assign the value difference. Yes, multiply them as product. Divide them as division. Okay. Let's go through those ones as specified. Data type of each. Print. We have already done this, so first name. I'm only going to do first name and last name. Okay, we do a value as well. It's an integer there, so what is that here? Is that, and then the length of first name, length of first name. No, do the same thing for last name. So a compare function. Actually, we can do it that way. Length of last name minus length of first name. Do it that way. Declaring num1 equals 5, num2 equals assigned 4, sum, so total is the sum of num1, num2 diff, let's call it diff, in num1 minus num2 . 1 times num2, what is it, to the multiplication, to the divide. Okay, division, num1, num2, do modular or remainder is num1, modular is the percentage sign num2, and calculate num1 to the power of num2. Okay, exp, I'm just going to name it expression of the num1 to the power of num2, which is double asterisk. Find floor division. So wait, to floor division of num2. Is that it? Okay, the radius of a circle is 30 meters. Calculate the area of a circle. Okay, step 12 I will do in a minute. Let's run this first. A box. Maybe it will work. Yeah, there we go. It did work. Okay, so sum function must be inside a list. Need to put the values into a list format if you do want to run the sum function. Good to know. All the values of the output. Okay, moving on. So I'll have number 12 to do. You're still doing number 12, radius of a circle. Calculate the area of a circle and assign the value to area of a circle. Oh man, math, I haven't done that in so long. Circle calculation. Area of circle is pi times the radius to the power 2. So and I have pi equal 3.14, radius equal 30 as specified, and then I'm going to name this sum. I'm going to say pi times radius to the power 2. Let me just comment all of this out. So we are finished with these. So I've completed those. Let's see if I did this correctly. Print sum. Clear. Let me see if I did this correctly. Okay, I think I did do that correctly in some way. Let me just do that on the calculator quickly. 2826. 2826. Yep, okay, that was correct. So that worked. And then the next task was what? Is it the 2 times da 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 da? Okay. I think I'm gonna rename this to area of circle. Copy the name, dump it in here. Then this is circum underscore circle, which is assigned to 2 times pi times the radius. And then you print out circle. Take the radius as user input. Okay. So we know this should work, right? Okay, cool, it does. Now, I have a new variable called new underscore radius equals input type in the radius value. I think I'm doing this wrong. We did this earlier. Why am I doing this wrong? No, we don't need to. We don't. Okay, yeah, I was right. Sorry, brain fart. I'm just going to print the new radius. And then we have a new area which will equal pi times new radius. That. I'm going to print new area. And then new circum equals 2 times pi times new radius, and then print that. I'll just zoom in a little bit. So this should run as calculated before, but then we should have an input which I will then add the radius value. So input value, we're gonna say we're gonna give it 20, and then yes, because that's an integer type. So you see it says unsupported operand types for power, string, and int. So this the new radius has become an integer. So we need to do conversion, which here I'll then say int new radius is equal to int new radius, which we say int underscore new radius. Maybe. Oh, my mistake. Oh, right. 20. So it did calculate. Oh, I didn't change this one. My bad, my bad. Is this all? Yeah, all the variables are changed. It should run. We're giving the value of 20. There we go. As you can see, we try and zoom in further. I've given, so we did this calculation before. Printed out the area of the circumference, which ended up 2826. Got the circumference, which is 188.4. Then we gave ourselves a new radius, a new we took in the input, obviously. I had to change variables around, and this is a new calculation here after typing in 20, which is the new radius value, and these are the results. Moving on. Use the built-in input function of first name, last name, country, age from a user to store the value of the corresponding variable names. Right, so it's basically sort of a copy and paste situation. I'm not going to copy and paste, we're just going to take in first name and last name. I'm not going to do the whole country thing. So we've already done this. Input your first name, last name, input is your last name, and then print first name, last name. So that is that. And there we go. So I'm not going to run this last one. Should I? Terminal help keywords. There we go. Doesn't work in that terminal, but in the terminal, it does work. The Python terminal. Oh, maybe I should just say, there we go. That helped. Right. So that was that. I guess I'll see you tomorrow for day 3 of Python development. As I said, the goal is to continue practicing, even though these 2 days were very juvenile in my sense of what coding is. Coming from a computer science background, this feels very much like entrapment into the never-ending tutorial-based hell that people describe, and there's no real project base behind it. But I feel as if I continue with this journey, I feel as if this 30-day challenge will pull through, as you do go through the very basics of it, as day 2 has shown. So thank you again for watching. I hope you did enjoy or learn something from it, even though it's something small, and I hope you see you tomorrow again. Cheers.